I really don't know who looks at something like The Purge and thinks, what if we did something like that, but for sex? And then whoever else is in the room with them just gives them the weirdest look. But it worked because the weird premise of this movie is the reason that I saw it. I'm not typically a big rom-com guy. There are some that I really like, but typically it's just not one of my preferred genres. The reason I decided to see this movie is because the idea behind it is so strange. Like, if you watch the trailer for this not knowing anything about it beforehand, and it just starts by seeming like a typical rom-com, and then all of a sudden you hear the dialogue, the one night a year where single people are allowed to have sex. You're like, the what? That is such a strange idea that I was very curious to see how they were going to explain it in the movie. I had to see for myself. It's kind of become a bit of a meme, people joking about the premise behind this movie, and I personally didn't think it was going to be particularly great. And it's not great by any means, but you know what? I had a decent time. I'm glad I saw it. It's harmless. The most interesting things about it were just learning about how this world operates. They actually put a good amount of thought behind a lot of this. I have many lingering questions. It's very odd. Like, first of all, if this law was actually implemented, I think everybody would either A, move to Canada, or B, just burn the country to the ground. But whatever, I can go along with it for the sake of the movie. Also, marriage rates would skyrocket. People would just rush into marriages that they are not ready for. That's slightly touched on in the movie, like a little bit, but that would definitely be a massive thing. They don't go deep into like all of the political or religious or whatever reasoning behind why the law was passed, because that's not what you're there for. It's not about overthrowing a tyrannical government or anything. It is trying to be a cute rom-com at the end of the day. So that's just kind of lightly presented to you. You just kind of have to go along with it. But all of the details about how the world works is kind of interesting. It's very weird, but I'm here for that. If you want to come up with a bizarre premise and go through with it, even if you're utilizing it just to kind of do a pretty standard little romance story, that's a little more interesting. It is fresh. Everybody has a little tattoo on their wrist. It can look like whatever they want it to look like, but it's red most of the year, unless you get married, in which case it turns green, or on this one night a year where you can have sex as a single person, it turns green. And whatever is in there, whatever's in these people's bodies monitoring them, can measure their dopamine and whatever other levels in their body elevates when you're having sex. And if your levels elevate in very close proximity to somebody else's who's also elevating, that's how they know you're doing it, and they come get ya. I guess that means like hand stuff or mouth stuff is probably fine, but 69 probably not fine. What about like just an intense makeout session? Like, does that not get the levels high enough? I don't know. I don't fully understand, but whatever, it's fine. They say that lesbians, possibly gay men as well, unclear honestly, but at least lesbians have found workarounds. Details unknown is just a line of dialogue. Also, you have to use a condom. They know. I don't know how they know, but they know. It seems like all other forms of birth control are maybe gone. I don't know. I don't know why that would be, but no other form of birth control is ever mentioned. There's a strong emphasis on condoms that you must use. Everybody hates this mandate, obviously. Again, I don't know why you're not just rioting in the streets all the time. I don't know why you're not just all having sex all the time. Like, what, are they gonna arrest everybody? At some point, I think you just have to give up. Like, they're not gonna stop fucking, so we're just gonna have to overturn this law. I guess that's not happening. These people just begrudgingly go along with it. And yeah, I appreciate all this weirdness, even though I have unanswered questions, and it is bizarre. I appreciate it. You know, the first Purge, not the movie, the first Purge, the first movie in the Purge franchise really wasted its premise. It was just a home invasion movie. The fact that crime was legal was actually not even that relevant to the actual events of the film. And it wasn't until the sequel where we went outside into the Purge and really experienced it, and it's like, oh, that's the movie you should have made in the first place, regardless of whether you even like the second one. That's clearly actually capitalizing on the premise this time. And judging by the trailer, that's what it seemed like this movie was going to be. That's what I was worried about. That's why it seemed so weird. It seemed like just a rom-com. But no, they really go into detail about this weird premise, and a large portion of the movie is spent with our two leads being apart from each other. It's like half the movie before they actually team up. And that's a good thing. If it was just the romance, the high concept premise would be pointless, but they spend a lot of time showing them trying to deal with the intricacies of this society and trying to find somebody for this night, because Monica Barbara's character doesn't want to just hook up. Everybody is looking to do that tonight, but she is trying to remain genuine and true to herself and find somebody special to her. And Callum Turner has a girlfriend that he was going to propose to, but on this night she tells him she actually wants to try sleeping with other people. So now he's at a loss. He doesn't know what to do. They eventually end up getting together and going throughout this city and possibly forming a bond with each other. But until then, I like that we spent so much time with them separate, and even once they are physically with each other, they're not with each other like that. They're still trying to find separate people. It actually takes its time. It doesn't just rush them being together. We have to go through quite a lot before that happens. And I think Monica Barbaro is one of the best things about the movie. She really carries it. She's super adorable. It's really charming. Really enjoyed her performance. Her character was fun. And I do have to be honest, costume designer or whoever chose the dress that she wears in this movie, good job. I think Callum Turner is fine. I liked him decently in this. I just don't think he really stands out in particular. Definitely in comparison to her, she's the stronger one. And I think there's a ton of dudes who could have played this exactly the same, if not better. He's fine, and I like them together decently. They have solid chemistry, but I think he's just fine. And once we actually get to the romance stuff, that's not as compelling. A lot of that is pretty basic, pretty predictable. Like everything about this weird world, that's why I was engaged. I wanted to learn all these details. I wanted to see all of the chaos and how different people behaved on this night. You see all of these different couples out here doing things differently, and it is kind of fascinating. But then when you get into the parts where it's like, okay, well now they actually just have to have a romance, that part's pretty standard. Like, she likes to sing, but she's too afraid to sing in front of other people, but he gets her to sing in front of other people. Like, what? Oh boy, wow, fascinating. Once you get into the real rom-com, that reminds me why I don't often get into rom-coms, because like, okay, well now I know what's gonna happen. They're gonna rom. I will say some of the predictability is actually a good thing, because you know those two are on a crash course to eventually get together, which means until then, every other encounter that they try to have will end in failure, so there's actually a bit of fun to be had speculating about how those encounters are going to fail. But for the most part, those actual romantic elements are not that interesting. It's fine. I like them decently as a couple. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, I can root for them fine, but there's nothing about it that's like exemplary for the genre where I'm like, oh, they're so perfect for each other and they just have to get together. Like, if they don't, I'm not gonna fucking cry about it. So the actual rom is fine, I guess. And the com is not there much, really. It's not trying to be like uproariously hilarious. But when it does have comedy, I really wasn't laughing. I don't think I laughed a single time, actually. And that's overall okay, because again, it's not totally focused on that. I thought the movie was just cute, but it would have been helpful if it was funny. There is one character in particular, he's a little kid who's like obnoxiously trying to act like an adult and be overly sexual towards the adult women, which is kind of a trope, and it's really annoying, and I kind of wanted him to die. Oh, I just remembered something. This is not a real complaint, but it did make me irrationally upset. The movie starts with text saying 3 years ago, the government made it illegal for single people to have sex, except for, and I thought it's going to then transition to the title card, except for one night only. There you go. But it doesn't do it. It just continues regular text, exposition, except for blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, that's kind of a waste, but I guess they just decided not to have a title card. But then like a minute or two later, they do have a title card. It just randomly pops up on the screen, one night only. You had the perfect spot for it. You built right up to it. And you blew it. Fools. A 0 out of 10, actually. Worst movie of the year. How dare you fumble a good title card opportunity. Anyway, back to the real review. So I think this movie is more interesting just in the fact that it exists. That we have a weird concept like this that I respect. Swing for the fences. Just whatever words come to your mind. The Purge, but with sex. Free Willy, but with meerkat. Literally, those are just... I didn't even put any thought into that at all. Just the first words that popped into my brain, I just said them. Even if it's in service of a pretty standard rom-com, I like to see some uniqueness here and there. And so I actually had a decent time with this. I thought it was cute. It's not something that I'm going to watch again or even remember all that strongly or recommend, really. But if somebody is into rom-coms and they do want to see this, you probably have a decent time. I thought it was cute. Sometimes it's nice to take a chance on something that you pretty much know is not really gonna hit you, but you just check it out anyway, and it's a fun little use of 100 minutes, even if it took a bizarre premise to get me there. But leave your thoughts on One Night Only down in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree, whatever you want to say. Let's talk about it down there. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more from me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.